Thank you all for logging in on time today. It's my pleasure in welcoming the participants and the speaker for the Indic Way Power Series. Today's topic is on the Indic Way Power Series is who's got the remote, the power over emotions. And for today's session, we have with us Mr. Ramraj and J. Krishnan. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the speakers. Mr. R. Ramraj is a senior advisor to Elevar Equity. He holds a BTech in chemical engineering from the University of Madras and an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata. He's a serial entrepreneur who has been involved in ventures in IT, cellular, and internet. His last venture was SIFI, where he was a co-founder and chief executive officer. SIFI was the first Indian internet company to list on Nasdaq's national market in the US. He's an investor with the Chennai Angels, a prominent angel investment firm in Chennai. At TiE Chennai, he was the past president, a charter member, and a mentor to many budding entrepreneurs. Mr. J. Krishnan is the CEO and MD of Unimity Solutions. He's an alumnus of the IIT Madras and IIM Kolkata. Mr. JK started his own software development company called Netlink Technologies in 1992. He successfully exited the venture when it was acquired by Deccan Chronicle. He acted as the CEO of Deccan Chargers for the 2008 season and was part of the team management in 2009 season. He's the past president of the IIM Calcutta alumni and the Chennai chapter. He's a charter member and a former vice president of TiE Chennai. With this, I would like to welcome the speakers and request them to take over the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those gracious words of introduction, Saurabh. Good evening. There may still be a few people who are first-timers to the Indic Way series, so I just want to give a short 2 minutes before I invite Ram to share his intro remarks. We had earlier done the Indic Way, the Indic Gym, the Indic Enterprise, and then this Indic Way Power Series is fourth in the series that we've been doing. In the very first session of the Indic Way Power Series, we spoke about the fact that, hey, just imagine that you had an Aladdin's lamp. And therefore, there was a genie available under your control, saying, your wish is my command, master. Getting anything done, all problems solved, eternal happiness in life. Maybe you have a genie. Maybe you have more than one. And maybe you don't even realize that you have these genies. And if you did, you don't know how to bring them under your control in order to make sure that their power and their assistance is available to you. And by bringing them under your control, there are so many things you could achieve, like sharpening your learning, acquiring wisdom, taking the right decisions, controlling and channelizing your emotions, nurturing and building healthy relationships, managing and overcoming tough situations, consistent performance and achievement, and all this therefore towards a success, towards a life of success and joy. And the Power Series is all aimed at how do you take control over these genies and identifying what and which are the genies that you have. And it's in that we are coming to this session 5. But I'll first request Ram to share some of his thoughts as an introduction.
Thanks, JK. Good evening, everybody. You know, one of the things I keep repeating, and I'm doing that more for some of you who may be here for the first time, but even for the others, that this is about self-development. And this is about performance and how to perform and still be happy and relaxed and be able to have an equanimous kind of life and decision making. In the scriptures and in ancient philosophy, every philosopher has said, it is we who make ourselves, we who mar ourselves. There isn't anybody else who either helps us progress or pulls us back. So if it is us who make ourselves or mar ourselves, then we need to understand how we can take charge and control of our lives so that we have better decisions, as JK said, better relationships. How do we manage those relationships? How do we manage events and situations so that we are continuously progressing in life? So this is about self-development and how to take charge so that we continue to make ourselves better and better. Back to you, JK.
Thanks, Ram. So we had already done the first 4 sessions. The power of I, the power to transform, the power of learning. The last session was the power of choice. And we are getting into the power over emotions. And we have these sessions to follow, which will tell us the power of action, the power of relationships, power of the intellect, power to succeed, and the power for happiness. So each one of those, as I said in the intro, some genie in us, some capability in us. We just need to know where and which and how do we bring it under our control to help and assist in the journey of life. So let's get into who's got the remote, the power over emotions. So if I ask you, what are some of our positive emotions? Could some of you write it down in the chat window and we could pick it up from there?
Hope. Okay, hope. Positivity. Contentment. Empathy. Optimism. Joy. Decision making. Kindness. Love. Meera put a nice long list.
Yeah.
Care. Care. Good.
Oh, very nice. I think we have most of it identified here. So based on earlier discussions, some of the things which came out: love, happiness, hope, empathy, kindness, generosity, gratitude, confidence, courage, enthusiasm. I think, and there were a few more which were identified by some of you. But certainly, the list here which we see on our screen is representative of some of the top and the most often experienced positive emotions in each one of us. So I want to move to this next question. What triggers positive emotions. Let me take the first one. What triggers love? And if anybody would like to share, so Saurabh, I would like you to unmute anybody who raises their hands. What triggers love? Saurabh, is there anyone?
So there's nobody who's raised their hand. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Harshvardhan Kothari.
Yeah, like one of the thing may be you feel it from your inner things. You feel inside your like something inside in yourself to have love with the other person or the society or the situations, whatever it is.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that, but I would like you to get into something. That is what you feel, but what triggers it? What triggers it?
I think it is more of like something which is there inside us, like some sort of calmness, some sort of like oneness, or some sort of feeling very positive about the other person. So anyway, it is like something which is deep inside us, which which is there in our psyche, which triggers this love emotion.
Okay. Thank you. We have two others. So is there some other view?
Many are there.
I would like some of you to hold back because I have two more questions and you could respond to them. Any one more person who wants to say what triggers love?
Being comfortable with no strings attached,
Okay.
says Meera. Men.
No, by what triggers I'm now coming to, I see somebody beautiful, and does that trigger love? What is that externally which is triggering love? What is happening inside me is the feeling of love. I'm not getting to that. I am looking at what is it that is external to us, and that triggers this emotion called love. So all these other things which you have, dopamine, oxytocin, etc., positive hormones, these are inside us. But what is it which is outside of us, which is then causing all this to be generated or all this to come up?
Maybe we'll look at the next and see.
Okay, we'll move on. But if we look at these, and we have all experienced these emotions, but what triggers them? Okay, now let's look at this. Whatever we like, being non-expectational, which is unconditional. So you're with your baby, you're with your son or daughter. The love is automatic. It is unconditional. There is no expectation. When we do or we are with people we like, the love gets triggered. A sense of giving, sense of purpose. These are all triggers. A sense of purpose triggers courage. Sense of giving, non-attachment automatically generates a lot of the positive emotions. So a lot of positive emotions get triggered because of these. Our likes, being non-expectational, which is unconditional, sense of giving, non-attachment, sense of purpose, these trigger positive emotions. And when expectations are met,
Yeah, sir, sorry to
And
interrupt.
yeah, go
Your,
ahead.
your presentation is not shared, sir. You've cancelled sharing.
So likes being non-expectational, sense of giving, sense of purpose, they are triggers, and the other ones. When expectations are met and unexpected or unanticipated events do not happen, again the positive emotions are what are uppermost in us. So you could now relate this with any one of the three above emotions we have listed out, and you will know that yes, when everything's going nice and smooth and there is no bottleneck, no roadblocks, there is happiness, there is contentment, there is a positive feeling in us. The same thing with these others and the rest of the positive emotions that we listed out. Ram, anything here?
Two things. I think being non-expectational, we will talk more about it. But I'm just saying it's easy to say. How will we do? Which is what we'll talk about. Sense of giving. Victor Hugo, I think we've all read the story where he says life is to give, not take. It's about those, prisoner who came and took two candlesticks from the church. And the priest said, son, take it, make your life. Life is to give, not to take. And so the happiness that comes. So these are a couple of things in this whole thing. I mean, all of them are important, expectations met. These are two that can make a truly remarkable difference, and we'll talk about them through the presentation. Just wanted to highlight these two.
So now let's move to this one. What are some of our negative emotions? So again, if you could write them out in the chat window, please. And Ram, if you could read it out, so
Sure.
I won't move into that. Yeah.
Angry, hate, anger, jealousy, disappointment, contempt, impatience, irritability, resentment, attachment, fear, pessimism, grief, rage.
No, absolutely. I think they've got every one of the most I would say commonly experienced negative emotions. So again, based on earlier discussions, like all of you pointed out, anger comes up at the top, which means this is one of the most frequently experienced negative emotions. Majority of people list anger as that negative emotions that they experience themselves most frequently. Fear and anxiety follow. Disgust and hurt, sadness, jealousy, hatred, guilt, and shame also comes up, and many of you this already identified in that list. So these are some of the negative emotions most often experienced by people. Now let's go back to that same question. What triggers negative emotions? Let's take one for example. What triggers anger? Anybody would like to share with us? Saurav, if anybody raises their hand, please unmute.
Our inability to control the situation, not meeting expectation.
Okay.
Dr. Kothari?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly negative emotions are because somewhere something we are feeling deficient actually, not as you said, like meeting expectations. It is like not meeting expectations. So therefore we become like whatever we have figured in our mind, if we are not getting it, then all these negative emotions come to ourselves. That is
A very, very, very
correct.
nice answer. Very, very nice answer, Dr.
Yeah,
Kothari.
yeah. Gap between expected versus
Yeah,
actual.
yeah, yeah. So let's look at same thing. What triggers fear?
Low
What triggers sadness? Anybody wants to give any other aspect other than what Dr. Kothari has shared? If we could ask somebody else other than Dr. Kothari to respond, please.
unknown situation, uncertainty. I think they're all putting it on chat.
Okay. So the opposites of what we saw, dislikes, expectations, sense of taking or receiving, which is based on attachment, are triggers. So we did list out that the positive emotions are based on likes, non-expectations, sense of giving, non-attachment, and the exact opposites are the ones which trigger negative emotions. And like what Dr. Kothari shared with us, when an expectation is not met, and therefore there is a gap between the expectation and what is reality, or there is an occurrence of an unexpected or an unanticipated event, they trigger the negative emotions. We'll just take one or two examples here. We have shared this earlier in other sessions. But let's say your child gets 100 out of 100. You are happy, everybody in the family is happy, you're all thrilled, and it's great occasion for celebration. Let's say he gets 35 out of 100, and therefore he's failed. It triggers anger. It triggers, hey, what is this? How can you? Idiot, I told you to study. All sorts of negative emotions surface because our expectation was this child will do very well. Whenever there is a gap, it's a cause and it's a trigger. We have taken this flight delay example. So I have a meeting at 10. I go to the airport and I find that the flight is delayed indefinitely and I'm going to miss my meeting, etc. It causes anger. I shout at the airline staff. I do all sorts of things because the flight is delayed. Spouse say, hey, you're always irresponsible. How can you say that? I mean, what is this? So whenever something unexpected happens, triggers the negative emotions.
So, two things. One, I think many a time, even when the child gets 35 to 100 out of 100, the first reaction is, why me? My child, why me? You know, and so it is a little bit of selfishness in that whole thing. That empathy that many of you highlighted that creates the positive is missing, and usually the question of why me? That is why anger gets triggered, and a lot of these negative emotions get triggered because there is self-pity, as somebody said, but why me? I also wanted to take a moment. I saw Viren, for example, saying that a negative emotion is attachment. I just wanted to take a moment to just define that in the Indic, we differentiate between love and attachment. Most of us in common English use this as synonyms. In the Indic, we differentiate it, saying love is what a mother has to a baby. It's unconditional, as JK said, and there is no expectation back from that baby. Attachment is love plus selfishness. what will I get in return? A relationship is fantastic as long as somebody is catering to me. Then I think I say I love you because you're catering to me at multiple levels. That is called attachment in the Indic way. So love is pure, no expectation. Attachment is love plus expectations of return. And so that is why attachment is considered negative and can lead to many challenges compared to love. And that is why some of you have pointed attachment as a negative emotion. JK, your screen is gone again.
Yeah, is my audio clear now? I switched to the Wi-Fi because the earlier Wi-Fi wasn't all that great.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're now steady.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was fluctuating.
Yeah. So we finished this. We finished these. So throughout this session, when we are talking of who's got the remote, power over emotions, we are only going to address negative emotions and the power over negative emotions. So let's look at sources of triggers. Who or what pulls the triggers, which then cause these emotions to happen in us? One, of course, are people around us. People say or do something, it is a trigger. The second, certainly, are events that happen, like what we saw, flight got delayed or some other event.
Slide has
Events
not
can
changed.
be triggers. And there is a third source of trigger. Can any one of you could write it in the chat window or you could raise your hand?
JK, it was not clear. JK, not clear, and you're on mute. Not yet.
Can you see the screen? I'm still a
No,
little
no.
unstable.
No, can't see the screen, JK.
Can you hear?
Can hear you clearly, but can't see the screen.
Are you able to hear me or no?
Can hear you, JK. We can see the screen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the screen is visible.
Yes.
So the third one, if anyone has got it, otherwise I'm going to present what the third one is, and this is something which happens actually more frequently than the first two. That source is our own mind or memory and its playback or play forward. These three are the sources of the, and when we are going to get into detail of each one, which creates the negative emotions to surface in us. Now let's look at the people trigger.
No, nothing, JK.
Ram, anything you want to add here?
No, JK. No.
Ram?
No, JK.
Yeah. All right.
Can you hear me or not?
So, Ram, please let me know whenever my audio is going off, because then I'm going to switch to another Wi-Fi. So just wanting to make sure you're hearing me continuously.
Yep. Will do. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Oh, thank you.
Are you able to hear? Continue.
Sir,
No.
now your voice is breaking actually. JK, sir.
Pardon?
Breaking, JK.
So I'll try and switch networks and come back.
Better now. It's better.
Better now?
I think. Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
We'll continue and see. So if you look at the people trigger, he or she said something. Let's say somebody says, hey, your boss says, or somebody else says, hey, you have no common sense. You have no common sense, really it's indicating that you are no good. This will automatically trigger a negative emotion. Somebody says, hey, Tendulkar is a selfish player. Certainly it'll trigger, hey, how can you say that, yeah?
Slide is not moved.
Things about people or things that we like. Anywhere there where we have an attachment, and then there's a comment about things we like or people we like, we don't like it. Again, it triggers that negative emotion. We shouldn't have come to Goa for this holiday. The spouse says this or the wife says it to the husband, and he's going to feel, hey, what the hell, I've taken so much effort. Yeah, okay, it is raining now. What can I do? You can't make this comment. And so things that we did are no good in some form, again creates this negative emotion. Trump is a great president. I have so many people in my JK, you're mad. How can you say that? Or any other comment where people or things that you do not like are termed good. Again, it creates that same negative emotion. This is the reverse of we shouldn't have come to Goa, we should have gone to Kodai. Things that you didn't do are good and better, crosses the same thing. Ram?
Oh, we'll move on, JK.
Yeah. So if you look at the people trigger, the second part is he, she did it or didn't do something. He went to the club when my parents had come home. Definitely there is anger, resentment, etc. in the wife, because he went to the club, parents have come home. How can he do this? He did something no good with respect to people you like, creates that same negative emotion. She gave away my favorite shirt. I mean, there's an attachment. She gave me a favorite shirt. I'm angry, I'm wild. How can she do that? He didn't pay the money, duck your calls. Expectation is not met, and therefore creates all the negative emotions. Driver absented himself without notice. We had shared an earlier example. It really happened with a friend of mine. He came out of puja. 10 minutes, I couldn't even see him because he was in puja. He came out. His wife told him, you know, I know you're going for a meeting, but the driver just called and said he's not coming. He said, how? Blah, 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 all the four-letter words. But effect of puja had vanished in just a few seconds. Driver absented himself without notice. Unexpected triggers something. So people triggers are of two kinds. He or she said something or didn't say something. He or she did something or didn't do something. Ram?
So these are triggers, are stimulus, things that come to us. The mind processes it, and then we respond or react. And based on how the mind processes it, we could react angrily or otherwise. So there are three steps actually. There's a stimulus that we receive. There is a processing that our mind does. And then we could respond or react. And that is really the awareness of this whole process of how an emotion which is a stimulus coming from outside, some stimulus, an activity, how does it create this kind of negative or positive emotion in us? And is there any way we can control our response or reaction to stimuluses that come? Like a driver didn't turn up. What do we do? And that is really what we are going to talk about. The next trigger is going to be on the events. So, JK, back to you. JK, back to you.
Yeah.
Lost you again, JK.
Ram, is it clear now or I have a problem?
Slides are clear. Your voice is suddenly just missing, but much better now. Yeah, much better.
Better now. Okay. So, the people trigger we have seen. Let's look at the events trigger. What happens and doesn't happen? Flight delay, we have gone through. When an expectation is not met, that is the event that causes negative emotions. My wallet was stolen. Unexpected event.
JK, Viren says that you're triggering negative emotions. Network is not working. JK, this is, can't hear you.
Creates all of different emotions.
Can't hear you.
Always there.
Can't hear you, JK.
I'm going to switch my network. I'm going to switch my network. Just 1 second.
Viren says you're triggering negative emotions.
No, I'm going to see if this is a better network.
At the moment, we can hear you clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. I switched the network. Just 1 second. I'm going to now make sure. Can you see the screen or it's
Yes.
not visible?
Yes, we can.
And you can hear me better now.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Viren, certainly network not working is a trigger. So what happens and doesn't happen? Flight delay, wallet stolen. Suddenly you take a blood test, blood sugar high. Wow, creates different types of emotions because unexpected. Didn't get the increment or promotion, expectation not met, certainly negative emotions. So order got cancelled. Again, unexpected event. We had planned all sorts of things based on that order, but suddenly got cancelled.
No, move on, JK.
So we covered people triggers. We have covered the events triggers. Now let's look at the mind memory trigger. This is one which happens very, very often. And what is this? It's a playback. What people said or they didn't say, what people did or didn't do. And we hold this in our mind and play back very often. Hey, that happened. So all the different aspects which troubled us. Ram was saying that there are people who hold it for eternity. Ram, it's to you.
So I've heard brothers and sisters don't talk to each other. And somewhere I was asking one family, one person, why is it that you don't talk to your sister? And he said, no, my parents treated her better than me. And this is at the 60th birthday of this guy. At the 60th birthday, he's saying that his parents treated his sister better. And so he's so upset that the only sister that he has no relationship. All because of some misconceived stuff. And all the time, we keep bringing back and playing what we call as something that happened. I could have done it better. It actually messes with your current quality of action. That these things, your current quality of relationships, all because something that you said or didn't do somewhere in the past is an overhang on your current behavior, because that is a weight on your back. And that is really what is one of the biggest triggers of negative emotions, and also triggers a poor quality of relationship, of action. Yeah, JK.
No, I moved to another location which is closer to the Wi-Fi. I'm hoping that this is a stronger signal.
Yeah, JK.
You're able to hear me better now, Ram?
Yeah, much better. I think we need to move on.
Play forward. What people say or may not say, and what people may do, not do, and it's all the mind causing these troubles through playback and play forward. Okay. So let's move on. The mind has this habit of what we refer to as movie making. So it will go on thinking, no, if that had happened, if this had happened, if this is likely to happen. We don't want to take too much of this, but these are all things we have experienced which causes negative emotions to us. So let's come to the main thing, combating these arrows and bullets. The triggers from all the three sources, they release arrows and bullets that hit you, hit your mind. And your mind then triggers the negative emotions. So from the three sources outside of us, the bullets and arrows, they hit us to trigger the negative emotions in us. So we want to talk of combating strategies, how to combat these. And that's the whole session is about. Who's got the remote? And we're going to look at what is it that we need to do if we need to combat. We are very clear now. Negative emotions are triggered by three sources outside of us. Sorry, two outside of us, one within us. But certainly those are the sources. What do we need to do to combat? Is there some way we can combat at the source? Is there some way during transmission of these arrows and bullets we can combat? On arrival, can we combat? After receipt, after it has pierced us, can we combat these? And that's what we're going to take you through. So let's look at combating arrows and bullets at the source. Now we said there are three sources. So for people, if we have to combat arrows and bullets at the source, and in a lot of these, when we say people, there are two roles that automatically come to mind, and that is universally taken as the source from which a lot of these negative emotions will surface. One is the mother-in-law, and second is the boss. All of us would have experienced in some way or other that it is from these roles, there are some aspects that continuously the arrows and bullets are coming at us. And so one aspect at the source is pre-handling. So what is this pre-handling? You know that my boss is anyway going to shout or scream or tell me that the things that haven't been done. And therefore pre-handling is a way in which I try and calm him or her down before anything happens. Singing the praise, keep saying, hey, like you said, whatever which makes then that person a little more relaxed, and then therefore they don't go off the handle, and then arrows and bullets don't start emanating from that person at the source. So keeping the mood of the other person positive is one of the combating strategies for people. And this is when we know that the person is by nature someone who can at short notice fire arrows and bullets. So that's for people. Now for events, you really have no control. There is nothing you can do. There is no way you can do something to combat an event at the source. You had no control that the flight got delayed. So there was nothing that you could have done at the source as far as events are concerned. So for events, there is no control possible at the source. For mind and memory, definitely awareness is the first. Hey, my mind is starting to take me on a trip. That awareness itself is a good way to combat this at the source. Ram, good.
So JK, again, voices towards the end was just starting. So I think in a certain position, your voice is coming very clear.
Yeah.
So one of the things when we say pre-handling, I have a hysterical boss. Now, do we even, and we'll talk more as we move forward, do we even assess people or do we set an expectation of behavior? I have to assess everybody I deal with, whether it is my spouse, my boss, my friend, whoever I deal with, I have to assess this person can be hysterical, can be short-tempered, can be very quickly turned to tears. Now, if we assess, that gives us the first weapon for pre-handling. Most times we assume we don't need to assess the boss because boss ought to know what to do. So our relationships suffer because we are having certain expectations without assessment. And that is the first step. Assess everybody that matters that you interact with. And then, of course, once you assess, you can sing the praise or do whatever else you need to do. Or just keep quiet and listen till that hysteria moves away. Just give 2 minutes of pause. But an assessment for people who matter that we deal with is something that we need to do. And same thing happens to events. But for people, an assessment of their behavior is something that most of us tend to ignore doing. And then we set expectations. And that is when we go into disappointments and anger. JK?
Yeah. So now let's move to during transmission. So you would have seen this in all the Mahabharata, Ramayana episodes. An arrow gets fired and another arrow is fired from this side to neutralize the incoming arrow during transmission. So that strategy, releasing another arrow to neutralize an arrow coming in your direction, this is not a slanging match. This is not boss is shouting at you and you now say, let me shout at the boss. It's not that the mother-in-law is making some comment about how incompetent you are and you now tell the mother-in-law that you are incompetent yourself. No, this is not a slanging match. But these are soft arrows. These are soft arrows that acknowledge, mollify, or enter into a dialogue so that the arrow stops coming and then that arrow gets neutralized during transmission. Ram?
If these relationships are important, then we want to, at the end of this interaction, be still in a position to have that important relationship. Which means the first thing is not get into what in Hindi they say tu me. That is that slanging match, ping pong on things. The right way, at least that seems to have worked, is non-confrontational. It is not passivity, but it is non-confrontational. For example, somebody is foaming at the mouth. There is no point in doing anything till that person cools down. So you wait. You don't respond. You don't react. So this during transmission is that you don't get into this tu meme, and any approach that you take, the underlying principle is non-confrontation. There is no point in confronting at that moment. That will only create more friction, more anger between at the time of interaction.
Thanks, Ram. So let's move to the next. So we saw at the source during transmission. Okay, this is a nice one. Ram only sent me. Dear mother-in-law, don't teach me how to handle my children. I'm living with one of yours and he needs a lot of improvement. Okay, this is not the way to combat the mother-in-law and this, but a nice way to look at it to say, yeah, during transmission.
This is tu meme only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
On arrival, so the armor, shield and mail. So when on arrival, meaning before it pierces you, what is it that you can do to make sure that the effect of these arrows and bullets are minimized? So toughening up, preparedness. You know that, hey, I'm entering the boss's cabin, he's in a wild mood, there's something going to happen. Now, if I'm already prepared, nothing of what he or she says on the manner in which he or she says it is going to have that much of an impact on triggering negative emotions. And same thing, I mean, I'm just taking boss and mother-in-law as the commonly used examples. Actually, it's my sister who shared this with me, and she said in my early days of marriage, whenever I used to visit my mother-in-law at her house, before I entered the house, I will change myself knowing that I'm going to be in for all sorts of advice and things that which I am no good and I need to change and I need to do this, etc. That made it easier for me to experience whatever I had to go through for the time that I had when I visited them. Okay. So toughening up, preparedness, make sure that on arrival of these arrows and bullets, they don't really pierce you, but they only hit the shield or armor. It's like the antivirus programs. It's a mental immunity that makes sure that these arrows and bullets don't really pierce you, but they sort of bounce off.
See, the example JK gave of his sister worked because there was an assessment of the person she was interacting with, and it was important to maintain that relationship. Therefore, by assessing, you can then prepare. I had a boss who used to shout. Depending on which side of the bed he got up, nobody knew what his behavior was going to be. 10 minutes later, he is quite cool, quite okay, and gets along. Which means I just need to tolerate that first 10 minutes of his anger. Thereafter, he's okay. If my assessment is okay, then I have an okay day thereafter. Otherwise, if that shield has been pierced, then my day is not only gone, but I make all those reporting to me their lives equally miserable. This, whether you get a good pat on your back or whether you get a shouting, it unfortunately or fortunately just cascades. And therefore, more the reason that you deflect it and not carry it with you and pollute the entire chain of interactions you have the whole day, just because we missed an assessment and said, just wait for 10 minutes, this person will cool down. But instead we take it to heart. That is what I meant when I said stimulus. How does the mind accept it? That's where you churn it. And then how do you respond or react? So stimulus could be a pat on your back or a shouting at you. How do you take it? That is your shield. And that is the assessment is the first part of your shield. Then you're prepared. Yeah, JK.
So let's say it actually pierces you. Okay, so you didn't have the armor, shield or anything. You had no preparedness, and therefore and this happens. Most of the arrows and bullets, they pierce us, and that piercing and that pain and that causing the negative is what really happens because we don't have the shields or the armors ready. So when this happens, your only combating strategy is to pull it out quickly, bandage the wound and heal. It's to let it go. We have heard this many times, through one ear but out through the other ear, as quickly as possible. But these are all wisdom that has come our way. It has to be about letting go, about quick garbage disposal, because otherwise this arrow and bullet is going to hurt. So after receipt or piercing, our strategy to combat has to be pull it out or let it go. Ram?
No, JK. Let's move.
So we've covered the 4 different aspects. So let's come to saying, what is my remote? This whole session is about who's got the remote, and we are really saying each one of us has a remote with which we can combat and we can make sure that the arrows and bullets don't come to us and trigger the negative emotions. So we're going to now look at my remote. So which means my remote needs to have buttons for people. And from what we have covered, it's neutralize, share and let go, filter, separate. This is another important aspect. We have to separate out the person from the content. Ram, you had something to add here in filter and content.
So what happens is sometimes I'm given feedback about improvement. The manner in which it is given annoys me so much that I have forgotten the message that was given to me. That if I adapt it, then it would be actually useful in improving my behavior, my performance, anything. But because the manner in which it was given, I not only am shooting the messenger, but in a way I'm shooting myself because I've ignored the message. And that is really what we are saying here, that make sure that you don't miss out on a feedback or a message. Filter out the messenger and the message, or the manner in which you got the message. That is where we miss out on something that could be vital or important. And that is it.
And another important button is accept. This acceptance we have covered in earlier sessions, but I want to summarize this accept as a button for people. We covered that what is it that people do which creates or triggers. He or she said that, or he or she did that. That's the one we are talking of, which triggers the negative emotions. So we had an earlier session which says, oh, he said that. Oh, she did that. And we changed that oh to okay. And we said, if you change that oh to okay and you say, okay, he said that. Okay, she did that. That acceptance is an acknowledgement that, yeah, it's happened, yeah. Automatically reduces the negative emotions that surface. So accept is certainly a very important button that we need to cultivate in ourselves, and that can certainly help to make sure that the negative emotions do not surface. Ram, you wanted to say anything here?
No, I was just saying neutralize is you can do only once you've assessed. So just remember step 1 is an assessment, then all this can happen. Yeah, JK.
Yeah. Buttons for events. Accept, list options, move to what next. Again, this we have covered in earlier sessions, but these are the buttons for events. Okay, flight is delayed. Accept it. List the options. Hey, what can I do? Okay, I'm going to miss that meeting. Is there something I can do? Can I call someone in Delhi? Can I do something else? Is there some other flight which can take me there? You can only move to what next. And that's the only way negative emotions can be controlled, and an aspect to make sure that they don't surface. So the buttons for events are accept, list options, move to what next.
So when we talk about people, we are talking about relationships that matter to us, and how do we preserve it even when there are triggers that trigger negative emotions in us. When we come to events and we have something that has triggered an unexpected event, the challenge for us is if we are overpowered by negative emotions. Oh my God, I have this meeting. What the hell am I going to do? This stupid airline, all that case that we spoke about. The quality of thinking at that time is so affected that we are not able to even list our options or choices. So what is it that the Indic way is talking about? How can we very quickly get to a state of equanimity or level-headedness by which the quality of our decision making becomes better and better at every event, at every choice that we have to take? So the reason we are saying accept that there is a challenge, driver did not come. Okay, now that I need to do something to the driver and figure out what the hell is going on is a separate issue. At the moment I have a meeting to go to, what do I do? Do I get somebody to give me a lift? Do I call Uber, Ola? What do I do? That kind of choices we have to now take control. And only if we are reducing the negativity and the anger and all the things working in our head, does the quality of our decision making, listing of options improve. Otherwise, we are swamped with all that we just are not able to see clearly. And then we come back and say, oh shucks, I wish I had thought of it. And that is really why the first thing is the moment you accept saying, my flight is not going, I am delayed. Now what on earth can I do? Straight away your thought process changes. Thank you.
Buttons for mind and memory. Stop playback. Awareness is where we started. So you will have to tell your mind, okay, shut up, yeah. Don't just keep on that particular track and switch channel. These two are certainly the buttons for mind and memory. Awareness that, hey, mind is starting to make noise. It is rewinding some tape and playing it, or it is going forward and trying to say, hey, what will happen, how will that, what if not, all that. You have to ask it to shut up, stop the playback, switch the channel, and these are the buttons to make sure that the mind memory bullets and arrows are addressed. Then you also need these programmable buttons, which are your own strategies. We'll come to that in the next slide, but you will come up with your own strategies, either to combat people and their triggers, or events and their triggers, or the mind memory and their triggers. So your remote will need to have these programmable buttons, which are your own strategies. So if you look at it, your remote, my remote, which is for buttons for people, events, mind and memory, it's got neutralize, it's got accept, it's got filter and separate. It's the shield and armor, it's listing of options, stop playback, movie making, hear and let go, moving to what next, switching channels. So the first column could be for people, middle column could be for events, and some parts of the last column is for mind memory. And this is the remote. It's not that we don't know. It's just that we don't carry this remote with us, or we don't utilize this, and we don't consciously press these buttons at the time that it is required. And the more we are conscious that, hey, I have this remote, I will then consciously start to use this remote when the arrows and bullets come. And therefore, by using this remote, I make sure that negative emotions do not surface, or they are reduced in their intensity when they surface.
So the important thing is there is no right or wrong. There's no universal response to different people. And that is really for each person, each event, that assessment, and then what do I do next? Without exhibiting passivity. One of the challenges we have when we say accept and don't respond in a hurry is that therefore will that behavior continue every time? It is the manner in which we respond that we will be able to show that there is a firmness, like you do with a child, that there is a firmness at some time. How do you handle? So please remember that there is no one brush that will manage all relationship responses. For each person, each situation, each event, we should think through, analyze, and respond appropriately. And that is really what these buttons are for, that they are customizable and should be customized. Yeah, JK.
And therefore, we said there are some programmable buttons, our own strategies. Ram has covered this before. Maybe it is count 1 to 10, maybe take a deep breath, maybe meditate. Some own strategy, 1, 2, 3. There must be space in the remote for these programmable buttons or your own strategies that work for you. But it is more important that we know that the objective of these buttons, is to make sure that any external bullet or arrow or the internal bullet or arrow caused by the mind is addressed and neutralized as early as possible so that negative emotions do not surface. That is our whole objective. The whole objective to say who's got the remote, power over emotions, is know that you have a remote. List out the buttons, consciously use them, build on them with strategies, but use them towards that objective to say, I have the control over the emotions that surface in me. Ram, anything here?
No, JK.
So then let's go to one more aspect. We have covered it in earlier sessions, but yes, you have the remote, you have the buttons for people, events, and for the mind memory. You added some programmable buttons, which are your own strategies. Yet you need to become conscious of these 3 parameters, which we call monitoring, the 3 meters, and we have covered it in earlier sessions, but we are going to summarize it here. First is frequency. How often do I get angry or hurt or anxious? How often is certainly a measure to be monitored, and the objective here of monitoring is whatever this frequency, can I reduce that frequency? It's 3 times a day, like medicine which we take, then maybe look at it and say, no, yeah, I mean, this is not done. I can't bloody lose my cool once in the morning, once at lunchtime, and once at dinner. Something I need to do. So how often are these negative emotions surfacing in me? What is the intensity when they surface? How severe? They say like the earthquake on the Richter scale, every little extra thing from disappointment to anger to rage, they are all dimensions in which that same emotion can become huge. So what is its intensity? I throw the bloody thing and something which I want doesn't happen. What is the manner in which that intensity of that emotion is manifested? And what is the duration? How long does it last? Whatever, or it evaporates, vanishes quickly. All these 3 meters are important for us to monitor. And therefore, even if there are, not that we can never have negative emotions. So even with the remote, even with all those strategies, negative emotions are bound to surface. But if we are conscious that we are monitoring these 3 meters, making sure that therefore each one of these dimensions are either reduced or they can be eliminated, that's the way to make sure that that remote is really of use to us.
So two things here. One is like a treadmill test. One of the things that they check is how quickly did you get your breath back? How quickly did your pulse come back to normal? So the how long does it last, therefore, becomes important. That the shorter and shorter recovery time shows that you are having more and more control on the remote. Now, one of the things that I used to keep thinking is, yeah, so I lose my temper, but after that I'm okay, and I'm all right. And then my attention was called to saying Shakespeare, each of Shakespeare's plays highlights one negative emotion and it kills the hero. Just one negative. Hamlet got overwhelmed by the situation that he got caught in to the extent that he was ready to commit suicide, to be or not to be. King Lear could not understand which of his three daughters was genuine and gave away the kingdom to the daughters who finally threw him out. So everywhere, one negative emotion can be fatal in the quality of our life, in the quality of our relationships, the quality of our performance. And we have so many of them. And therefore, the need to, first of all, have an awareness that we have this, and it is important to look at it to see how I can start bringing it under control. So the awareness is the first big step. And therefore, these three dashboards of how often and how severe and how long, how quickly can I recover, follows that awareness. So JK.
So who's got the remote? You have the remote. It's about using the buttons. Now, this is also important. Don't block out all arrows. And we tend to do this, especially with people we don't like. Anything they say is bad and useless. And we think, hey, everything my mother-in-law says, everything my boss says is stupid and I don't need to listen to it. Don't block out all arrows. You need to filter and make sure that good content many times may come from people with whom we may not have the right equation or we may not really like them, but content may be of value to us. So don't block out all arrows. Have that maturity to separate out content from people. This is important. Beware the use of your own external remote. As much as we say this remote with which you are combating incoming bullets and arrows, we also go around shooting arrows and bullets at people around us. So we have to beware, be conscious of the fact that, hey, I'm also doing all sorts of stuff to shoot bullets and arrows at the people around me. And we have to make sure that our use of that external remote that each one of us has is also under our control. And it's not that you only have control over this incoming, but you have control over that external remote with which you can really screw up various other aspects of relationships and stuff in your life. So beware of the use of your external remote. And therefore, with that, it's about taking control over your emotions. So you got the remote, use the buttons, don't block out all arrows. Beware the use of your external remote, and then take control of your emotions, monitor those three dimensions. Certainly then you have that ability to be equanimous and lesser out of control, where your emotions take precedence over reason.
So just beware the use of your external remote. In the Bible it says, iniquity there shall be. Woe unto thee if you're the cause. So negative, feedback, all that can be. You don't be the cause of all that negativity that you're creating in the situation and events and relationships that you are driving. So we are very aware when people hurt us, when people shout at us, all that. We're just saying, we need to be equally aware and sensitive the manner in which we do, and that is really what we are trying to say there. Okay.
So there was another session where we used this another example to say we are very comfortable with our bad breath because our bad breath doesn't affect us. Our bad breath only affects people around us. So beware the use of your external remote and make sure that that is also as much of importance as the other remote with which you can make sure that negative emotions don't surface. So if you summarize, this is what we've covered: positive and negative emotions and their triggers, sources of triggers, which are people, event, mind, and memory, combating at the source during transmission or on arrival or after piercing, my remote for people, events, and memory, monitoring the 3 meters, and that you've got the remote, and how do you make sure we put it to use? Thank you.
So, any questions? Anybody, any questions? No. Saurabh, can you raise Arun Natarajan? And then Meera. Saurabh?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to unmute Mr. Arun. So you'll have to accept the
Unmute.
yeah.
Great. So thanks, JK and Ramraj. Obviously, wonderful session as usual. This week, you definitely have to bring in Dhoni into the picture, right? So both in terms of, being Mr. Cool and, the fact that he retired and, so gracefully as well, a lot of triggers from your presentation brought Dhoni to mind for me. So, JK, any this thing, how, some of these things that you highlighted, Dhoni brought about, would be, I think, very appropriate.
Definitely, Arun. Definitely, there are people around us who set the example and who's and it's not an act that they put on. It is the people they are, and that is what is more important. It is the people they are. It is natural. They have built themselves up to be such people, and yes, the examples around us are the ones for us to follow. I'm happy you brought that up.
So, Arun, just JK is the cricket player, not me. But what I admire in Dhoni is the fact that most of us, when there is an unexpected event, especially 2020 and all we have seen, we react. But what we really admire in Dhoni is he seems to have already anticipated, and it is a response and not a reaction. Reaction is when you are not in control. Response is when you're in control. And the fact that he is cool is because he is responding and not really reacting. And that I thought is really what makes him Captain Cool. That he seems to be always holding the remote and anticipating, responding. I think Meera Nair had a question. Yeah, Arun, thank you. Saurabh? Saurabh, can you unmute Meera Nair?
Yeah, I've unmuted her.
Thank you very much for the great session as always, Mr. Ramraj and JK. My question is, when you are not expecting and a person insults you, how do you react? You react or you keep quiet? But it has really affected you.
story of Buddha, which I said before. Buddha and his disciples were going, and somebody came and abused the Buddha and told him all sorts of things. All these disciples were waiting for a signal from Buddha to go and just thrash him. But the Buddha listened, carried on, and went to their shelter and sat down, and he carried on with whatever he was doing. The students were still fuming and not able to even sit down and do anything. So they went to him and said, "Sir, tell us, O Lord Buddha, can you tell us why did you keep quiet? Tell us, we can even now go back and thrash that guy." Buddha said, "What are you talking about?" And they said this, and he said, "Somebody offered me a gift, that it was full of strong language. It is the kind of gift he gave me. Looks like you all picked up the gift. I returned it to him. I refused to accept the gift, and I carried on. You guys have carried the gift and brought it here with you. So don't, it is water off your back."
Yeah. Okay.
And at the same time, just go back and think if there was any merit in anything that was said, and period. Ignore it otherwise.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
There seems to be others. Sarah, if you can just unmute. Who are you unmuting, Sarah?
Dr. Harsh is the one next. I'll go by the order.
Yeah. So like very good explanation, and like it was quite useful, like the previous sessions which I attended, your session. So like one of the way which usually our spiritual like in spirituality we learn is like maintaining distance from the thing, that is having sort of a drishta bhav. That is a Sanskrit word that you see things from distance, not involved in it. And another concept is concept of empathy. That is, you are also looking to the other persons, that what triggered him to do this particular thing. So if you keep that also in mind, then perhaps you are lesser aggrieved than the usual. So your comment on these things, if uh, if they work or don't work. Thank you.
I think they're very valid, Dr. Kothari. Thanks for sharing with us. So what you're saying is something we have. Therefore, when there is attachment, that attachment itself is that cause for many of these negative emotions. But when you are non-attached, and when therefore you are one level above that particular situation or person, then the chances that affect you are much less. So what you said about maintaining that distance, very, very valid in terms of how useful it is to make sure that negativities don't surface.
I think somebody else. Sarah?
Yeah, I've unmuted Mr. Ashok.
Yeah, Ashok.
My question, JK, is out of the three categories that you identified, people, mind, and events. It's relatively easy to understand events because they're outside our control. Whether the flight is delayed or there's traffic on the road, it's relatively easy to figure that out. Your mind is within your control, so therefore there is no question of looking for solutions anywhere else. But when it comes to people, invariably you'll find in most of these relationships, especially the two that you picked up, which is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, or boss and or any other relationship, it's normally a situation where two people are jockeying for power of some sort or the other. And therefore, many of your solutions seem to be avoidance of confronting that power situation rather than dealing with that situation and settling it. I'll just give you two examples. One is when you're in school, they always say the best way to deal with a bully in school is to punch him back in the nose once. Then he won't bully you. He'll go and bully somebody else, but he won't bully you again because that's the only language he understands. Now, come to Dhoni for a minute. I mean, if you roll back, one of the things that was said about Saurav Ganguly was that for years, Indian captains had operated under this colonial mindset that we have to be good on the cricket field. And so, if we are sledged, if anything is done, we quietly take it and lump it and come back. Now, Saurav Ganguly is rightly or wrongly credited with saying nothing. We give it back as hard as we get. And that seems to have put a completely different approach in the team from that time onwards, that we started sort of punching above our weight. Therefore, is there a case for at least selectively saying, I will let my emotions take over and give it as hard as I get, because that's the way I will deal with the core problem, rather than saying I will, humor him and let him go this time. I will try say something good to him so that he forgets about it, which is all dealing with the today, but not sweeping the problem away, just sweeping it under the carpet rather than resolving it once and for all.
Very valid observation, Ashok, and Ram uses this more often, saying, don't lose your temper, but use your temper. So there are occasions where using your temper or showing that, hey, this is not okay, is also a strategy. That's also certainly a button. And the other aspect to say that in all of this, it's not avoidance. Actually, we have one session coming up, which is all about nurturing relationships. So even in the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, I know many of those equations, which are lovely equations. I know lots of daughters-in-law who have greater relationship with their mother-in-law even than they had with their own mother. So it's all about building these relationships, and it's about nurturing them. It's about maturity in which it happens. So in this session, we are only focused on the fact that with all that, if bullets and arrows are coming at you, how do you then make sure that they don't trigger the negative emotions? So we're not saying everything is mollycoddling. One of the buttons, like you say, could be, hey, shut up, don't tell me that. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Could be. Which is why I said, and what Ram said about assessment and your own strategy, one of those could be, I've listened to you long enough. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Could be a button that you use with that person because it's based on that assessment that the other aspects are not helpful. So yes, your comment is valid.
Thank you, JK. Thank you.
Yeah. Saurav, anybody else?
So, there's one more person, Balaji.
Okay. Balaji?
Good evening to all and to Mr. JK and Mr. Ramraj. Thank you very much for the insights. My question is, sometimes mind takes a logical decision based on certain arguments, A, B, C, D, and it has agreed and arrived at a decision. Then a year later, the same mind says, no, the decision what you took is wrong. You shouldn't have done that. How come the mind, which was very logical, very clear, arrives at a decision, and the same mind comes back without any qualms and says, no, the decision was wrong? How do I understand this mind? That's the question.
Ram, this is in your area, the difference between the mind and the intellect, and that it's not the mind which is logical.
Yeah.
So please go ahead.
So, Balaji, we act based on two things, equipment that we have. Mm-hmm. One is the mind, which we say manas, and the other, the intellect, called the buddhi. The mind has a lot of likes, dislikes, emotions, all that we spoke about today. And the one who controls that remote is the intellect. Intellect discriminates, logical, and takes all the facts and data. Mind goes by likes and dislikes. The common example that I've used is, I'm diabetic, I love sweets. Moment you put a dish in front of me, I would love to have it. My mind says, eat it. And my intellect says, watch out, your sugar is out of control, don't make it worse. Now, depending on which is stronger, I will either eat the sweet or say no. So the more and more you have your intellect available at the time of taking the decision, the quality of your decision becomes better and better. We will have a session on strengthening of the intellect. We've had it before. But one way is to just think through and keep questioning and understanding everything around you. That gives you the opportunity to discriminate. So the quality of decision making that doesn't fluctuate comes from a strong intellect, and not what we commonly say mind is full of emotions, and we compare it to a monkey jumping up and down. It has no limits. It has no way in which it is going to say enough is enough. That is the intellect. So that is why a year later, maybe the intellect came up and said, hey. So that's why it is Balaji.
Plus Balaji, it's one more thing which could happen. Let's say you join a new company, good position. So your mind at that time when you join, say, hey, great company, good role, responsibility, good package, and so you join. 1 year later, you're not enjoying yourself because there's no freedom, no nothing, etc. And your mind is saying, hey, I shouldn't have done that. And it's based on an experience which has changed between the time at which you took a decision and during the time period where some other experiences have happened. So that's a different scenario.
New data.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, both of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
What do we need to close or?
Can we take? I think we have crossed the time.
Yes, sir. We are past the time. So
Yeah. So we'll
Should we take
quickly,
one more?
Yeah, we'll
quickly.
take one more. Saurabh, just take one more quickly if you can.
Great, Arun again, and it's again a contextual question in the India-China situation, and the kind of emotions and remotes. Your reading of if not specific this particular situation, how a prime minister chooses a cabinet and how our diplomats react. Today the reactions are extreme, right? So whether it is US, China, India, China, etc., the context is very emotional, right? So a lot of people react. I see in our WhatsApp group, etc. Anything China, this thing. So does this have anything to do with this particular context? You can deal with it now or push it to a later session. I just thought of it, while you spoke. Thank you.
JK, I'll try. Arun, it's very simple. I think that one is use your temper, lose your temper. Similarly, use your emotion to show that you are strong, that election is coming in November, and therefore you want to show that you're a tough guy and that you take on tough guys. And Ashok said, you can be the big bully and bully somebody to show that you are macho. And it could be the use of the intellect to win an election. Or it could just be that you're emotional and you're showing your anxiety and you're responding to your like and dislike rather than to any strategy.
Yeah, I also think, Arun, that a lot of this is posturing. You don't know what is real, what is posturing. And posturing is so much part of whether it's politics or international relations or who's the big brother, who's stronger. So many of these could be posturing.
So thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you all for staying on.
yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you again for such a wonderful and valuable session, sir. So we will look forward to the next session. So before we sign off, I have a small announcement to make. TiE Chennai has planned its week-long virtual conference, TiECon Chennai 2020. This year from the October 5th to the October 10th. So we'll be having sessions on all 6 days, and every day there will be a session in Tamil from 5 to 6 p.m. and a session in English from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll also be having our virtual Thai Sunday, which will be open from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. on all 6 days, which will be open to members and non-members, and it's completely free for any visitors.